What if I told you that over 4,000 years ago, a man discovered a simple system that made him the richest person in Babylon? A system so powerful that it still generates millions till this day. This is his story. Long ago, there lived a man named Arcad. Across the kingdom, he was known as the richest man alive. But people didn't admire him only because of his wealth. He was generous. He gave to charity. He cared for his family. He spent freely on himself. Yet despite all of this, year after year, his fortune kept growing faster than he could spend it. One day, several of his childhood friends came to visit him. Confused and frustrated, they asked, "Arcad, why you? We grew up together. We studied under the same teacher. We played the same games. You weren't smarter than us. You didn't work harder than us. So why are you the richest man in Babylon while we struggle just to survive? You wear the finest clothes. You eat the finest food. Meanwhile, we can barely provide for our own families. Why has fate chosen you and ignored us?" Arcad smiled. Then he gave them an answer that would change everything. "If all you've gained after these many years is enough to survive, then you have either failed to learn the laws of wealth or you've refused to follow them. And don't blame fate. Fate is a dangerous goddess. When she gives people wealth they haven't earned, she often destroys them." He explained that people who suddenly become rich usually fall into one of two traps. Some become reckless spenders. They waste everything they receive until they're left with nothing but debts and endless desires they can no longer satisfy. Others become the complete opposite. They become so terrified of losing their money that they refuse to enjoy it. They hoard every coin, living in constant fear of thieves, loss, and poverty. Their wealth becomes a prison instead of a blessing. Yes, Arcad admitted, there are a few who receive unexpected wealth and multiply it, but they are incredibly rare. Then he asked his friends a simple question. Think about everyone you've known who inherited great wealth. Didn't most of them end exactly as I described? His friends paused, and one by one, they nodded, because they knew it was true. Now, more curious than ever, they begged him to reveal his secret. How had an ordinary man become the richest person in Babylon? Arcad began his story. "When I was young, I looked around me and saw all the wonderful things wealth could provide. I realized that money wasn't just coins, it was power. With wealth, a man could build a beautiful home, travel across distant seas, taste foods from lands he had never seen, own magnificent works of art, even build great temples for the gods. Wealth gave a man the freedom to enjoy life to its fullest. The moment I understood that, I made a decision. I would claim my share of life's riches. I refused to stand on the sidelines, watching others enjoy what I secretly desired. I refused to spend my life merely surviving. I wanted to become a guest at life's greatest banquet." But Arcad wasn't born rich. He was the son of a humble merchant. He came from a large family. There was no inheritance waiting for him, no special talent, no extraordinary intelligence, nothing that separated him from anyone else. So he reached one conclusion. If I wanted wealth, it would require two things: time and study. Time, he said, is something every person already possesses. Enough time to become wealthy. Yet most people allow it to slip through their fingers without ever realizing its value. As for study, he remembered the lesson of their old teacher. There are two kinds of learning. The first is knowing facts. The second is learning how to discover what you don't know. So Arcad made a promise to himself. He would dedicate his life to discovering the laws of wealth, and once he found them, he would master them. Because while we live beneath the warmth of the sun, it is only wise to enjoy the blessings life has to offer. For one day, all of us must leave this world behind, and the very first lesson Arcad discovered would completely change the way people think about money. Arcad continues his story. "I found work as a scribe in the Hall of Records. Every day, he spent countless hours carving words into clay tablets. Week after week, month after month, he worked harder than ever. Yet when payday came, he had nothing to show for it. His money disappeared on food, clothing, offerings to the gods, and dozens of small expenses he couldn't even remember. No matter how much he earned, It was never enough. But one thing never changed: his determination. Then one ordinary day, opportunity walked through the door. A wealthy moneylender named Algamish arrived at the Hall of Records. He needed a copy of Babylon's 9th law. Looking at Arkadad, he said, "I need this completed in 2 days. Finish it on time, and I'll pay you 2 extra copper coins." Arkadad immediately got to work, but the law was incredibly long. When Algamish returned, the tablets were still unfinished. The old moneylender was furious. Had Arkadad been his slave, he would have been beaten. But because he served the city master, he had nothing to fear. So instead of apologizing, he seized the moment. "Algamish," he said, "you are one of the richest men in Babylon. Tell me how I can become rich too, and I promise I'll work through the entire night. By sunrise, your tablets will be finished." The old man smiled. "You're a bold young man," he said. "Very well, we have a bargain." That night, Arkadad worked without stopping. His back ached. His eyes burned from the smoke of the oil lamp. His hands grew numb, but he never quit. By sunrise, the tablets were complete. When Algamish returned, Arkadad handed him the finished work. Then he immediately asked, "Now keep your promise." The old moneylender smiled kindly. "You have honored your side of the bargain. Now I will honor mine. I am an old man, and old men enjoy sharing what life has taught them. But there's something you must understand. Young people often believe old people only understand the past. Because of that, they ignore wisdom that never grows old. The sun shining today is the same sun that shone when your father was born, and it will still be shining when your grandchildren are gone. The excitement of youth burns brightly, like a shooting star, but the wisdom of experience is like the stars sailors use to navigate. They never change. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you can change your life forever." He leaned forward, his voice calm yet powerful. "I discovered the road to wealth the day I decided that a part of everything I earned was mine to keep." Then he fell silent. Arkadad blinked. "That's it?" he asked. Algamish nodded. "That single lesson transformed me from a poor shepherd into one of the wealthiest moneylenders in Babylon." Confused, Arkadad replied, "But everything I earn already belongs to me, doesn't it?" The old man laughed. "Far from it. Don't you pay the man who makes your clothes? Don't you pay the sandal maker? Don't you pay for your food? Can anyone live in Babylon without spending money?" Then his expression became serious. "Tell me, what do you have left from last month's earnings? What about last year's?" Arkadad had no answer. "You pay everyone except yourself. You work every day, yet everyone else grows richer from your labor. You might as well be a slave." Then Algamish asked one simple question. "If you kept just 1 coin out of every 10 you earned, how much would you have after 10 years? Arkadad answered confidently, "At least 1 year's income." "Only half correct," Algamish replied, "because every coin you save becomes a worker, and every coin that worker earns becomes another worker. Then those workers produce even more workers. Soon, your money begins working harder than you ever could. A part of all you earn is yours to keep, not less than 1/10. Pay yourself first, then live on the rest. Buy only what you can truly afford. Leave enough for food, for your responsibilities, and for generosity." Then he painted one final picture. "Wealth is like a mighty tree, but every giant tree begins as a tiny seed. The first coin you save is that seed. Plant it early, protect it, keep adding to it, and one day you will rest beneath the shade of the wealth you created." With that, Algamish picked up his tablets and walked away. Arkadad couldn't stop thinking about those words. The advice was so simple, it almost sounded too easy, so he decided to test it. Every time he received his wages, he secretly set aside 1 coin out of every 10. Something surprising happened. His life didn't become harder. He still managed to pay his bills. He still had enough to live on. The only difference was that for the first time in his life, his money was beginning to grow. Of course, temptation followed. As his hidden savings increased, so did the desire to spend them on the beautiful treasures arriving in Babylon from distant lands. But this time, he refused, because he knew That tiny seed was slowly becoming the tree that would one day change his life forever. A full year passed. Then, just as before, Algamish returned. The old moneylender looked at him and asked, "Tell me, my son, have you faithfully kept at least 1/10 of everything you've earned?" This time Ardad smiled with pride. "Yes, master, I have." Algamish nodded approvingly. "Excellent. Now tell me, what did you do with your savings?" Ardad answered confidently, "I gave them to Amir, the brickmaker. He was sailing across the seas to the land of the Phoenicians. He promised to buy rare jewels for me. When he returned, we would sell them for a great profit." The old man's smile disappeared. He shook his head. "Every fool must learn." Then he asked a question that struck Ardad to the core. "Why would you trust a brickmaker to judge precious jewels? If you wanted to understand the stars, would you ask a baker, or would you seek an astrologer?" The answer was obvious. Algamish looked at him sternly. "Your savings are gone. You have ripped your tree of wealth out by its roots before it ever had a chance to grow." Then his voice softened. "But plant another. Start again. And next time, seek advice only from those who truly understand the subject. If you want to know about jewels, ask a jeweler. If you want to know about sheep, ask a shepherd. Advice is free, but bad advice is often the most expensive thing you'll ever accept." Those words stayed with Ardad, and sadly, they proved to be true. The Phoenicians had cheated Amir. The precious gems were nothing more than worthless pieces of colored glass. Every coin Ardad had saved for an entire year was gone. Many people would have quit right there. They would have blamed luck, blamed other people, or decided that saving money simply didn't work. But Ardad did something different. He started over again. Every 10th coin went back into his savings. This time, he had formed a habit, and what once felt difficult now felt natural. Another year passed. Algamish returned once more. "How have you done this time?" he asked. Ardad smiled. "I have continued paying myself first, and this time I entrusted my savings to Augur, the shield maker. He uses the money to buy bronze, and every 4 months he pays me a share of the profits." For the first time, Algamish looked genuinely pleased. "Very good." Then he asked another question. "And what have you done with those profits?" Ardad laughed. "I've enjoyed them. I've hosted great feasts, drunk fine wine, eaten sweet cakes, and even bought myself a beautiful scarlet tunic. One day, I plan to buy a young donkey to ride." Algamish burst into laughter. Then he said something Ardad would never forget. "You are eating the children of your savings." Ardad looked confused. The old man explained, "If you spend every coin your investments earn, how can those coins ever produce more? And how will their children ever produce children of their own? First, build an army of golden workers. Let them earn for you, again and again. Then you may enjoy every feast your heart desires without ever weakening your wealth." With that, Algamish departed once again. 2 more years passed. By now, the old moneylender had become frail. His face was lined with age. His eyes no longer carried the strength they once had. Looking at Ardad, he asked one final question. "Have you achieved the wealth you once dreamed of?" Ardad answered honestly, "Not everything I desire, but I now have wealth. It earns money for me, and what it earns even more." Algamish smiled. "And do you still seek advice from brickmakers?" Ardad grinned. "Only when I need advice about making bricks." The old man laughed. "Then you have truly learned. First, you learn to live on less than you earn. Second, you learn to seek advice only from those qualified to give it. And third, you learn to make your money work for you. You now know how to earn wealth, keep wealth, and grow wealth. You are ready." Then came the opportunity Ardad had never imagined. Algamish said, "I am growing old. My sons only know how to spend money. They have never learned how to create it. My lands are vast, and I need someone I can trust. Go to Nippur, manage my estates, become my partner, and one day you will share in everything I own." Arkad accepted. With the wisdom he had learned, he increased the value of Algamish's lands year after year. His fortune grew, his reputation grew, and when Algamish finally passed from this world, he fulfilled his promise. Arkad inherited a share of the great estate. When Arkad finished his story, one of his old friends exclaimed, "You were incredibly lucky." Arkad smiled. "Lucky? That I spent 4 years saving 1/10 of everything I earned? Is a fisherman lucky after spending years learning exactly where the fish swim?" Then he spoke one of the most powerful truths in the entire lesson. Opportunity is a proud goddess. She does not waste her time with those who are unprepared. Another friend interrupted, "But surely that required incredible willpower." Arkad shook his head. "People misunderstand willpower. Willpower isn't doing the impossible. It isn't lifting what a camel cannot carry. Willpower is simply this: finishing the task you promised yourself you would finish. If I decided that every day for 100 days I would pick up a single pebble while crossing the bridge and throw it into the river, then I would do exactly that. Even if I forgot on the 7th day, I wouldn't say, 'Tomorrow I'll throw 2 instead.' No, I'd turn around, walk back, and throw that one pebble. Because every promise you break to yourself makes the next promise easier to break. And that final lesson may be the difference between dreaming about wealth and actually building it." The friends listened carefully. Then one of them asked, "What if you miss a day? Why not simply throw a handful of pebbles into the river the next day and make up for it?" Arkad smiled. "No, when I give myself a task, I finish it exactly as I promised. That is why I never set impossible goals. I choose simple habits because simple habits are the ones you can repeat for a lifetime." Another friend raised a different concern. "If becoming wealthy is really this simple, why isn't everyone rich?" Arkad answered without hesitation. "Because wealth is not a fixed amount. Wealth grows wherever people create value." Then he gave an example. Imagine a wealthy man builds a magnificent palace. Does the gold simply disappear? No. The brickmaker earns some. The laborers earn some. The artists earn some. Every person who helped build it earns a share. And when it's finished, the palace is worth what it cost, while the land beneath it becomes even more valuable. Even the neighboring land increases in value. That is how wealth grows. No one can truly measure its limits. Then he gave them the same advice that had transformed his own life. Begin with one simple sentence. "A part of all I earn is mine to keep." Say it when you wake up. Say it at midday. Say it before you sleep. Repeat it until it becomes part of who you are. Then, keep at least 1/10 of everything you earn. Before paying anyone else, pay yourself first. Arrange the rest of your spending around that decision, not the other way around. Soon, you'll discover something incredible. Owning even a small amount of money that truly belongs to you feels different. It gives you confidence. It motivates you to earn even more. And as your income grows, so do your savings. But Arkad didn't stop there. Once you've saved, make your money work. Let every coin become your servant. Then let the coins it earns become servants too. Build an army of wealth working for you day and night. He offered one final warning. One day, you will grow old. Prepare for that day while you are still strong. Invest carefully. Promises of enormous returns often hide enormous risks. A small profit that is safe is far better than a fortune that disappears overnight. Seek advice from people who truly understand money, not from those who merely have opinions. Then he added something many people forget. Enjoy your life. Do not become a slave to saving. If 1/10 is all you can comfortably keep, then let that be enough. Live within your means. Spend without guilt, as long as you've already paid yourself first. Life is meant to be enjoyed, not merely endured. His friends thanked him and departed. Some walked away in silence. They could not imagine that something so simple could change an entire life. Others mocked the advice, believing that a wealthy man should simply give away his riches. But a few left with a new light in their eyes. They finally understood why Gilgamesh had returned to visit Arkad year after year. He wasn't watching a lucky man. He was watching a disciplined man slowly transform himself from poverty into wealth. Opportunity had been waiting for him all along. It simply arrived when he was finally prepared. Those men returned to Arkad many times over the years. He gladly shared his wisdom. He taught them how to protect their saving, how to invest wisely, and how to avoid the costly mistakes he had once made himself. For every one of them, the turning point was the same. The day they truly believed one simple sentence: "A part of all I earn is mine to keep." And that's the timeless lesson from the richest man in Babylon. More than 4,000 years have passed, yet these principles remain just as powerful today as they were in ancient Babylon. If you enjoyed this summary, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.